You're entering the bonus stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com, with your host Marauder,
Phoenix923,
a podcast for all gamers,
console and PC alike.
Welcome to Bonus Stage.
Hello and welcome to Bonus Stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com. As always, I'm your host Marauder, and sitting right next to me is Phoenix923.
Greetings, everybody.
So, of course, as we always do, we're going to check out what is new on oceanofbees.com to start out. And there's a couple updates. In the video section, there is a total of 2 new videos. One being the SpongeBob SquarePants PC game, as reviewed by the PC Game Inspector.
I asked him, because he was talking to me during that time, and he goes, well, I'm working on my next one, and I go, well, what is it? SpongeBob. Why would you put yourself through that for my millions of fans?
It's a pretty good review overall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's hilarious.
There's a couple things I would have probably done differently, but then again...
Who are you?
I'm me, and I'm picky about that kind of thing. But yeah, so, yeah, it was a pretty good review. I enjoyed it. Game kind of sucked, but then again, it is...
SpongeBob.
Yeah, it is
What do you
SpongeBob, so
expect?
what do you expect? It's really hard when I take my niece out to get games and stuff for a DS. Like, she always wants, like, Scooby-Doo and, like, stuff that she knows, and it's like, no, honey, you don't want that, because that game's going to be terrible. Get Kirby. Kirby is great.
Well, you always got to remember, you always got to look for Mario on PS3.
Oh, yes, I got to look for Mario. I still can't believe that. To clarify, we were standing in a GameStop a long time ago, a couple months ago, and this one older lady walked up to an employee and said, where are the PlayStation games? And he goes, oh, they're right here. So he leads her to the back corner, whatever, and they're all on the wall. And she goes, now I don't see Mario. Is there Mario for this? And I literally was holding back a chuckle the entire time I was in the store because I didn't want to insult the lady.
I turned around and stared at her dumbfounded, like, wow.
I know. But no, so yeah, anytime you want to find Mario on PlayStation, it's over by the Wii stuff. So, anyway, the next new video is Off the Chain Episode 3. Nigel Burns talking about another keychain he's collected. Short video, really funny, highly recommended, go check it out. And let's see, new blogs. There is actually 2 new blogs. One is by that Canadian guy, and he's basically blogging about clubbing in Toronto. He is a wordy man. He can go on and on and on in those blogs, and they're entertaining, they're pretty funny, but wow. They just keep going and going and going. But still, well done. Enjoyable read. Go check it out. And the last thing is there is a new blog up by yours truly for The Amazing Spider-Man. You
want to hear
wanna
his
hear
thoughts on it? Read it. Go.
Go to the site and check it out.
Go.
Anyway, so that is everything that is new on oceanofbees.com. So, we're going to skip the news and topic section today because we have so many questions. I wanted to be able to fit them all into this episode. We're going to start out with questions that are on the oceanofbees.com forums that was posted by Jab. And he has 3 questions, so we'll go through them one at a time. First question, which game do you really want to play but keep putting off?
I got a couple here. One of them is, 3 of them are all of the Deus Ex games. I know 2 people say sucks, but I don't care. I want to play it. But those are 3 games that I kind of start, but then I just kind of stop. And then it just kind of goes by the wayside. Do you want to...
Well, I have this. I was going to say I have played the second Deus Ex game, which I hear a lot of people hated. I remember getting it on Xbox, super cheap, way back when, and playing it to death. I thought it was amazing. Having never played the first one at that point, I was not aware of how different it was and why people were so upset. I still don't get it, because I really, really liked the second game.
It's just personal preferences, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with the reviews. If a person hates a game like Duke Nukem Forever, I like that game.
Yeah, that game was good.
You know, it's a decent first-person shooter. It's not probably what everyone was expecting it to be, which I wasn't expecting it to be that. But, you know, it's a fun game.
I was expecting it to be decent. It was decent, so I had fun.
Yeah.
Couple games I've been putting off. Oh, where to start? Well, I just got Darksiders. I keep meaning to get into that. You just gave me that because of the Steam summer sales.
Yep.
So I've been wanting to get into that. I do have it installed and everything, but it's just kind of sitting there. I also got Skyrim from Frenchie. He sent that to me. So again, but the thing is with Skyrim, I need to have like 60 hours, and I don't have 60 hours. So it's like, okay, I'll just play something else. But probably the one that I'm putting off the most is probably Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, I really, really want to get into that game, and I have played it for a couple hours, but then I just kind of shelved it, and I keep meaning to get back to it. But it just kind of sits there. Oh, and last but not least, this will be the last one, is Kid Icarus Uprising. I have not opened that yet. It literally is just sitting on my shelf.
Completely all together as if you pulled it off the store shelf.
Yep, still in its box, still everything. So, that's another one I got to get into eventually.
Another one that I've been putting off that I did start playing was a game released by an indie company called Fortune Summoners, the Quest for the Elemental Stone, I think. It was released by Carpe Fulgur. They basically find these Japanese doujin indie games, and they've been bringing them over here, which I love. I support any company that does that. And
now, what's a doujin game?
Just, it's their word for indie.
Oh, okay.
It's just made by a small company.
Okay.
And whatnot. But no, I've really been meaning to get into that game. From what I've played, it is difficult, as all Japanese games generally tend to be. But it's a pretty fun hack and slash. You know, you got like different AI partners that actually know what they're doing, which is a rare find nowadays. And
yeah, it's hard to make good AI.
And I don't know, it's just been back there.
Yeah.
And my backlog.
It's just been sitting there waiting for me.
Mm-hmm. But that's all I can think of.
Okay, cool. Which game really needs a sequel but shows no signs of getting one?
I got I really believe that Mirror's Edge should get a sequel, just because I enjoyed that game immensely. It's a shame it kind of came up a little short and lengthwise for me, but I'm playing through it again just because I did enjoy that game that much, and it is really fun to just go running and jumping off of stuff and trying to figure out like new pathways, because there are multiple paths that I've discovered through some of the levels, and just to try and figure out how to get to those instead of taking the obvious normal ones is a pretty fun challenge to me.
Yeah, I liked that game. I have it on Xbox. My only complaint with it would be just the combat is really lacking.
Yeah, the combat...
I mean, I know the point is to make it seem like is to set you up so it's like you're defenseless, so you want to run away because that's basically your only tool. And that is cool when it works, but when you get into certain situations where they expect you to kill people, or at least take them out so that you can move on, it's really, really a lot harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, one example of that is later in the game where you're escaping these two, I don't know what they're called, runner hunters, whatever. Okay. They're basically exact copies of you. They're chasing you down pretty much as fast. But there's this other point where these two guards with guns come out, and then the only way to get up the building is climb a pole. But you climb it so slowly that they're just going to peg you and kill you anyway, so you have to take them down. And there is a type of disabling move that you can do on them, but the thing with me is that whenever the gun flashes red, I think it is, that's when you can pull it. But it happens in like half a second.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to time.
Yeah, it happens in a split second.
And there's really the only way to really just take them down is just to, my favorite is to jump kick them and then just beat them to a pulp until they fall down. But to disable them with a gun is immensely difficult to try and pull off.
They really needed like some kind of a better indicator of when you can do that kind of move.
Mm-hmm.
Either allow it to be a little bit longer, or slow it down somehow, like do a slow mo.
Well, there is the runner time, but the thing is that it's one of those mechanics that you just forget about,
right?
Because you rarely ever use it. I mean, I think in my first playthrough, I maybe only used it twice. But and the first time was when they told me about it, and then the second time was when I accidentally pressed the key to use it. I was like, oh right, I have that, but then I just never remember to use it. So
yeah, no, I don't. I hate in games when it's like, how did I dodge again? Oh right, because you never dodge and figure it out. One of the games that I think really needs a sequel that I would love to see is Golden Axe. I would love to see Golden Axe brought back with a respectable sequel. That Beast Rider game, whatever that wasn't Golden Axe. I don't know where they were going thought-wise with that. I would love a 3-player co-op 3D brawler kind of game, like a God of War. I mean, look at what God of War Ascension's doing. It's got 4-player co-op going into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that kind of game done with the characters from Golden Axe. Just the ability to, like, drink potions and summon dragons, or throw them on the ground and break them open and create, like, creatures or fire or lightning. I don't know. Just level up your armor, your weapons.
Blow up the screen with screen-clearing lightning burst attack. And
yeah, like, I don't know. It seems like the series that's just perfect for that kind of thing, and they messed it up with Beast Rider.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought that game off Amazon for just a couple bucks because I was just curious as all, and it's not good. It's just not good. But yeah, I'd love to see a sequel to that. I would love to see a sequel to Vector Man from the old Genesis games. I know they had one planned for the PS2, and there was some development footage like that they showed off at E3 one year.
Yeah.
And then they canceled it, which I'm glad they did, because the footage they showed looked terrible. Because he was all black and like metal silverish, which he wasn't in the other games. He's green, so it's like
trying to stylize him.
Yeah, and then he's just he looked like a loose, like an art figure doll that was just kind of moving around.
Held together with strings.
Yeah, I mean, like Rayman, at least when you play it, he kind of felt a little like Rayman, at least if you look at the footage. But at least Rayman has some weight to him. He feels like he has weight.
Mm-hmm.
From what I was watching on the Vector Man footage, it didn't seem like he had it at all. But I'd love for them to bring that back and do like a really good, third-person shooter kind of game with him.
Mm-hmm.
Upgradable weapons for your hand laser or something, or maybe like the ability to morph into different objects like grenades and fish and I don't know, a train. I don't know, just there's so many things you could do with him as a character, and they really haven't done anything. And that's kind of a shame. But yeah, those are two I'd love to see.
What was the other one that we were talking about that I thought should have a sequel? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't recall.
I have an exceptionally short memory span when it comes to just temporary stuff.
But no, that's I'd love to see Vector Man. I'd love to see Shinobi done right.
Mm-hmm.
I know they re-released, they put a game out on the 3DS recently, but I'd love to see a remake or something for the Shinobi on PS2. Because the Shinobi on PS2 I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a little problematic, sure, but again, Ninja Gaiden can do it, so can you. It's you are, you were one of the original ninjas. It was Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, and it was Joe Musashi from Shinobi.
Mm-hmm.
So, do something about that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's tons of games I think deserve sequels, but those are the ones I'd love to see coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question that Jab has is, which game was your biggest letdown of all time?
Me first, or?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, as I've said before, I'm very into RPGs, and RPGs are basically what makes up a large portion of my game collection. So, of course, when Star Ocean Till the End of Time PS2 came out, had to get it. And I love that game. I absolutely loved it till the end. The end absolutely blows. I couldn't even believe that they pulled that.
Now, for those of you who don't know,
I'll just say this. There's okay, spoilers. Okay,
cover your ears.
Cover your ears if you want to play it, and whatever. Just spoilers. The end of the game is basically you're going off to fight these whatever planet destroyer aliens are, which have basically destroyed a couple of planets around and have actually fired at the Earth, but thanks to their defenses, it was able to hold off one blast, but another one they wouldn't be able to. So, of course, you're going off to go fight them, and you get to this planet, and there's a portal that you have to go through to get to their planet. You want to know what that portal is? It's a portal to the real world. That's right. The entire game is held in a virtual world, a virtual universe. And I just... When they first revealed that, I just stared at the screen for like 10 minutes in bewilderment, going, they really went this way? I'm sorry. I hate this game now. I was having a blast until now. Now, it's all just a game. It's a game within a game. Fun. Great job, Square Enix. Great job in completely wrecking that for me.
Yeah, I remember I have that game too, and it was one of the first PS2 games I picked up. And I remember getting really bored with it, whatever, and I was like, yeah, I've been trying to get through that, and you're like, don't, it sucks. Why? Why does it suck? The ending is terrible. What happens in the ending? Do you care? No, I don't care, really, because I don't think I'll ever play it again. He's like, and you're like, it was all fake.
Yep.
I mean, the only reason that shit works in stuff like Ender's Game, or, where they pull that whole, like, it wasn't virtual, it was real, or like Mario Brothers 2, it was all a dream. Like, it only works in a select number of ways, and that's just not one of them.
And plus, you would think that it wouldn't be viable for a digital thing to come into the real world. I mean, they gave it some BS reason that one of the characters has this special ability that makes you jump into the real world, but it was just so disappointing and it pissed me off beyond belief. I beat the game, okay, I got that far, might as well finish it,
right,
but oh my god.
Okay, you done? You okay?
I'm pretty much done.
You okay? Alright. My biggest letdown of all time is a pretty easy one. It's actually two games. I'm going to piece them together because they were both severely stupid. Sonic the Hedgehog 2005 for the Xbox 360, as well as I'm going to throw Sonic Unleashed on top of that as well. Sonic is my favorite character, one of my favorite characters, and when they announced Sonic 2005, well, they just called it Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sega was going on and on about how, like, this was going to fix it, and they're really going to put, their best foot forward and make a game that's going to work, and they're going to bring him into the 3D world the right way and do this all correctly. And I remember I bought a 360 for this game. Like, I because I was like, oh, I'll get one eventually, whatever.
That's even got to sting even more for you then.
Exactly. And so it's like, I was going to save up for one and just get one, but it was like Sonic the Hedgehog was announced, and it was like, okay, I have to get it as soon as before the game comes out so I can buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the system, whatever. I got it for Christmas, I think, that year. The year it came out, 2005. I got it for Christmas. And before that, I had downloaded the demo.
Mm-hmm.
And I had played the demo religiously. I thought it was great. I was like, this is amazing. It had its problems, sure, but I was like, they're going to fix it. They're going to tweak it and put it out.
This is just a demo.
It's just the demo. It's not done. Because they say that every time you boot it up. This is not the final work. Like, this is not perfect. Okay, great. So the game comes out. And I remember the very first thing that I did was I start the game. I pick Sonic, of course, and you start this level by going up a wall, around a corner, down the wall again, and you start skiing on the water. Now that right there, I knew something was wrong. He doesn't run on the water like he should because he's Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. He's skiing on it. Like, it was weird, but I was like, whatever. So then you go through that for a little bit on the water, and then there's this like rock outcropping that kind of creates this arc.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool. So you go up there, and I can see this little coin box. And I'm like, okay. So I got to go up there, grab the coin box, and come back down in this loop. Be awesome, right? I go up the one side and go through the loop, literally through it. And I fly out into negative game space and die. And this is the first 20 seconds of this game. Not even. Probably first 10 seconds of this game. And from there on out, the whole rest of the game followed suit. Mid-level load screens that were ridiculously long, a hub world that I absolutely hated. He controlled like he had no momentum. Like, all of his momentum is built up, so the minute you take off, he doesn't just build speed, he just takes off on you. Mm-hmm. It's like they coated his shoes with Teflon and butter. It was like and all of the enemies had life bars now, so it wasn't like in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle where you hit them and they explode. No, you have to keep hitting them over and over again. And then there's parts of the level where they force you to become other characters, where like they make you in the first level be Tails for a little bit, so you fly around and do stuff. Tails has this bullcrap ability to throw coin boxes, either while flying or while standing on the ground. It's a completely useless ability. You cannot aim it. There's no way to determine where it's going to go. So what I end up doing is just flying over stuff and just dive bombing the ground I can't see in hopes of hitting something. Shadow the Hedgehog is in a car for most of his levels. I really don't understand that.
Oh, I thought that was just in the Shadow the Hedgehog game.
No. They gave him an SUV. And then of course, every Sonic game has to have the new character that they shove down your throat. So this one is Silver the Hedgehog, which is kind of a cool character because he's got telekinetic abilities, and it's like cool, so I can pick stuff up and throw stuff, but he's just as emo and whiny as Shadow is, so he's complaining about like the Iblis trigger and having to stop the Iblis trigger, whatever that ended up being. I never found out. But he has the ability to pick stuff up, which is great, except for the fact that it doesn't fucking work because you cannot target anything with it. So you end up you just hit the left trigger on the Xbox controller, and you pick everything up in the level around you can pick up, all at once, at which point you then have to hit the X button to throw stuff at enemies. But the thing is, you don't know what you're going to throw, and you don't know where it's going, because it kind of has this loose lock-on feature. Oh, it's terrible. I mean, I played through Sonic's story. And then, of course, there's the fact that the manual is lying to you most of the time. The manual actually tells you things that are not in the game. Like, it tells you that the Kingdom of Soliana, which is the kingdom that you have to rescue the princess of, is the Kingdom of the Moon.
Mm.
Which doesn't make any sense because solar means sun, and so it should be the Kingdom of the Sun. And then you have this like power meter that fills up as you defeat enemies and stuff, and it says there's 3 levels to it. There isn't. There's only 1. So I don't know what they were talking about with 3 levels. You can get upgrades and such, like new shoes and all these upgrades you can get by doing all these little mini missions, but you never want to do the mini missions because the load screens are bullcrap. So what happens is you start the game and you load your game and it goes loading. Okay, now you're in the city. So you walk over to a guy who has a quest for you, and the guy, he says, hey, do you want to do this quest for me? And you go, yes, I do. So he goes, okay, loading. Okay, now here's the mission, here's what you gotta do. Loading. Okay, go. Okay, okay, so you try to figure it out, which they don't really tell you what it is you're gonna do. They're just like, hey, can you go get my shoes for me? And then like, so you have to run around and try to figure this out, and then you run out of time, they go, loading. You failed miserably, thanks for not helping. That's great. Loading. Okay, now you're back in the hub world. Do you want to try that again? Okay. Loading. Okay, so do you want to do this mission for me? Yes. Loading. I mean, I don't know who built this game engine, but the game engine they picked it must not have been for Sonic. There's tons of pop-in. The frame rate dips in places it shouldn't. There's just so many things wrong with it. But the worst offender of all time in this game is the forced running sections, where you have to chase things. Because basically there's parts in each level, and you have to beat these to beat the level, where they just drop you and they go, go! And he takes off like a rocket, and all you have is vague control over steering. But the thing is, like, if you hit a tree, let's say, you hit the tree, lose all your rings, go through the tree, and if you hit a tree on the other side while you're still tumbling forward, you die. So the entire game is broken. It's broken, and I was so angry because I had been looking forward to this, and I'm staring at my Xbox going, you lied to me. You lied. I've never been so angry before in my life, honestly. I've never hated a game so much, and to hate a Sonic game, because I can generally stomach a lot of Sonic games that people don't like. But even Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic Adventure 1 Director's Cut on GameCube, which was a little glitchier than the Sega Dreamcast version, I still kind of liked. So, and then of course Sega goes, okay, we're not gonna do that again. We're gonna do it right this time. So they show Sonic Unleashed, and there's these daytime sections. He's running, and it's side-scrolling. It's kind of like Sonic Generations, and it's like, awesome, this is amazing, this looks great. And then they go, and then at night he becomes Sonic the Werehog. Why? Why does he do this? So I bought the game, because of course I'm a Sonic fan, and I'm a sucker. So I bought the game, I bring it home, and I'm like playing a couple of the daytime levels, I'm like, yeah, this is great. But then they have a hub world again. Mm-hmm. I do not understand this hub world. Like, you have to walk around and talk to people, and get into areas, and do certain little, like, flip switches and stuff to get into certain areas and raise gates. And it's like, why am I doing this? And then, of course, when you go into a world, they go, well, do you want to do this at daytime or at nighttime? Well, of course I want to do it in daytime, because that's the best part, right? Well, you can't play this one until you get X amount of daytime emeralds and X amount of nighttime emeralds, which you find in the levels or around the hub world. Only during that time of day or night, though. So in order to get the nighttime emeralds that you need to progress through the game, you have to go back to previous levels you've already beaten at night and play them again. This time you're looking for these stupid little emeralds that are hidden everywhere. And then, of course, he controls, again, like he's got butter on his shoes, and he just flies all over the place, and it's like, it works fine when he's in the daytime levels, but at nighttime when he's a werehog, he just kind of fumbles around, he's got stretchy arms for no reason, and it's like, I don't understand. Granted, they have fixed it now with Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, and I'm very happy and good for them, but I tell you, those two games, man, I hate them. I hate them with a passion. So yeah, that was a little mini rant there. I'm sorry. Just biggest letdown of all time. No comparison to those two games. Sonic the Hedgehog more than Sonic Generation or Sonic Unleashed, because at least Unleashed had the daytime sections that were relatively fun, and the boss fights that were, again, relatively entertaining. But it still was terrible, and I really tried to like that game. I remember watching reviews and reading reviews for it and going, it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. I bought the Platinum Hits Collection edition of it, and I wish I wouldn't have. But anyway, I hope that answers all three of your questions, Jab. That was a little... Sorry, I could go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're going to move on to another set of questions that's asked by Johnny Johnson on 3 questions he's got. 1, what is your thoughts on emulation in general? I think it's okay, so long as it's not... I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
My thought on emulation. Yeah, you shouldn't pirate games. That's a given. But if you get this one, if there's this one game that comes out and you just don't have the time for it, you can't buy it, you don't have the money, whatever, and then you go, okay, let's go buy that game, and it's nowhere to be found. Then you go on, Amazon to see if you can find it, and it's 3 times more than what it was retail. You're just sitting here like, oh, I don't want to spend that much on this game, but I still want to play it, then I'm just kind of like, why not? I'll still be looking for the game, and I have done that before, to where, I've emulated a game for a bit, and then when I found it...
Infinite Space.
Infinite Space is one of them. I buy it. But, yeah, emulation in general, it doesn't bother me. But
yeah, I used to be against it, unless you were emulating like really, really old games.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm fine with.
I was okay with that, but more and more, I'm kind of okay with it going forward for the reasons you were talking about, where it's a game you just cannot find, or a game that's ridiculously expensive, like Earthbound. Like, I really want to play Earthbound, but I don't want to spend the couple $100 it's going to cost me to get a cart.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm going to emulate it.
Yep.
So, my only real issue with it is I don't like it when you're emulating something just to be a dick about it, I guess. If that makes sense? Like, like us. Like, I'm still out looking for games. Like,
yep.
Even though I have a bunch of... Let's use the Dreamcast, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It can play copied games, or most of them can. And I have a stack of copied games.
Yep.
I just do, because you can't rent games anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And do you really want to go out and spend even $10, $5 on a game you don't know about?
And even if you could, you couldn't find Dreamcast games anywhere.
Right, exactly. And, I will say right now it's a little bit easier to get a feeling for a game because there are a lot of companies that put out demos.
Yep.
And pretty lengthy demos at that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play through it and go, well, that was okay. But then again, demos don't tell you everything, and...
demos just mostly show the good parts of the game, and...
And with Blockbusters closing down and all these video rental stores not really offering games anymore, it's hard to go out and rent a game.
Mm-hmm.
I know Redbox just started doing games a little while ago, but I'm not spending $2 a day on a game rental.
And there's also, like, Gamefly, but... You really need another subscription service?
Yeah, like there's Gamefly, but it's like I've already got Netflix. What do I need Gamefly for, really?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, emulation is fine with me so long as it's not being used maliciously, I guess.
Yeah.
I still actively go out and looking for games, even older Super Nintendo, Genesis games, that kind of thing, Game Boy games. But if there's a game out there that's super rare, like Earthbound per se, I'm going to emulate it, and I'm going to play it, and I'm going to have fun with it. That's actually the first place I ever played Metroid 2, The Return of Samus on Game Boy. I played that on an emulator back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Chrono Trigger was also a
Yeah.
huge one that I played on emulator all the time and actually beat. And now that I actually have a cart of it, which I think I only spent $25 on the cart.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I got a really good deal on it, actually. But it was like, do I really want to spend $25 on this game?
Mm-hmm.
I've already beaten it, but I wanted a physical copy. So
Yep.
I figure as long as it's not being used maliciously, it's fine. And besides, companies use it all the time. I mean, that's how the
Yes.
Virtual Console gets all their crap to run, or that's how Sony gets PlayStation 1 games and some models of the PS3 even use emulation for PS2 games. That's how the Xbox 360 plays old Xbox games, is through reverse engineering and emulation. Mm-hmm. So, it's not illegal, it's just...
certain aspects of it.
Yeah, like, it has a place. It has its place. So, I'm okay with it, in general. So long as you're not pirating current-day games, like...
Yeah.
I think Infinite Space would have been my only exception, given the fact that you cannot find that game anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, there is that. Number 2, what is your favorite video game console accessory? I can just say this right off the bat. I don't even have to guess. It's the Game Boy player for the GameCube. Mm-hmm. Best accessory ever. Lets you play Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy games on it. And if you have a Wavebird controller, you can sit across the room, which is great. And you actually have the ability on the GameCube player to actually blow up the little screen to fill the TV, so you don't get that border. Mm-hmm. Or at least you don't get much of one. But playing Golden Sun Lost Age on that, because I got the Game Boy player for my GameCube that Christmas, and I also got Golden Sun Part 2, or Lost Age, the second one.
Yep.
And so I copied everything over, and I put the game in my Game Boy player, and I played it on my Game Boy player.
Which way did you copy them over?
I linked 2 Game Boys together.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not putting in the codes.
Yeah, I didn't have that convenience, so I had to
And we didn't know each other back then, because had you known...
I had to copy that entire fuck-all 15-page code just to get all of my stuff. I mean, there's shorter versions of the code, but you're missing large chunks of your stuff. And I'd just rather get everything than not. So...
Nope, I still had my old school Game Boy Advance, the one that doesn't have the light or anything on it. Mm-hmm. And then I had my SP with the light, so I just linked them together and copied it.
Yeah.
And, Game Boy player, by a long shot. So many good memories. I used to play Advance Wars on that with friends. I used to have friends come over in high school. We'd all sit around and play Advance Wars and just pass the controller. Mm-hmm. And, that game's a blast. Fire Emblem. Playing even the older games, because I didn't have a Super Game Boy at that point. I hadn't had one before. So playing all my old Game Boy games on it was fun. Yeah. Best accessory ever. That's basically it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on those. One that I did like that wasn't really used all that much was the GBA Link accessory to the GameCube.
Oh, I have that.
Yeah.
I have 3 of those, actually.
Yeah, one game that I played a lot when it came out was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles with my friends. And I love the fact that you just had the Game Boy where it was your menu and everything for the game, and you really weren't impeded anyway from the game menu with everyone else, because they all had their own stuff. And I just kind of like that. Same with, I think Wind Waker used it a little bit.
Wind Waker used it, I remember. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle used it.
Yeah.
Final Phantasy Star Online used it.
I think Wind Waker used it to where you had a portable map.
Yeah, it was a map screen.
Plus, there was also this little sensor thing to it too.
Yeah, there was a Zelda game, Zelda Four Swords Adventure used it.
Oh yeah, yep, I love that game.
And
too.
I think the best use of it was in Splinter Cell for the GameCube. Whereas if you hooked up the Game Boy Advance, it actually created a map of the room you were in, of the whole floor, and it showed you the location of everybody on the floor. So it was kind of cheating, but I really liked doing that. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And an honorable mention. I didn't mention this, but the Game Genie.
Yeah.
Any Game Genie. I have the one for Game Boy, if you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And it basically adds another Game Boy on top of the Game Boy, if that makes any sense.
I had the Game Shark for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Which is just this
any of those cheap devices, those are so much fun.
Thing you plug in, then you plug in your card underneath it and get going. The main use that I used that for was Pokemon Red. just to get like into the glitchy worlds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because one thing is so stupid was you get to the glitch town through Safari Zone, I think it is. Basically, me and my brother basically challenged ourselves to see how far we can walk through that before we would get stuck, and you would get stuck. Until you had to be forced to fly out, but, you know, it's just that little extra fun that you can just, you know, add to it.
Or like, for the Genesis, Contra Hardcore, was it you that played it with me?
Yeah.
And we couldn't beat even the first stage.
Yes.
So we just popped in the Game Genie and cracked it with invincibility and played through it. It was still hard. Like, you look at what you're what you're up against, go, how am I ever going to get past this?
I got one hit. How am I going to survive that?
Yeah, one hit and you're dead. But no, definitely that. Okay, next question. What is your favorite... no, wait. Ryan, in a previous episode you had mentioned a WTF moment with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Will you please tell us about it? Yes. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, I did say in a previous episode, was a huge WTF moment for me. You gotta picture this, though. I only had the Genesis. I didn't play the Saturn. I didn't play the Dreamcast. So when I saw a 3D Sonic game on GameCube, I about flipped my shit. Bought it, brought it home, and for the first couple levels, it's okay. You're going through desert locations and cities and whatever. And it was a little off-putting, because I'm like, why am I being chased? But the biggest WTF moment was when you are driving with Tails to get to the president's limousine, at which point they play a cutscene where Sonic jumps into the limo with the president and is like, I'm here to save the world. And I just remember going, what? There are people? Like, because, like, I didn't know about the Japanese chronological order of Sonic games and the American one being different. So I always just assumed he lived on an alien planet, and this is what he did. And yeah, okay, you do go through a city as the first stage, and a missile base as, like, the third or fourth stage, but it's like, I still could kind of feed that off as being Dr. Robotnik's robot army, in a way. You know, of course you're going to go through a city, why not? And so going through and actually seeing people was, like, really weird. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think my first introduction to them meeting people was in Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I played through that. And
So
I'm just sitting here going, why am I rescuing the president? This doesn't make any damn sense to me.
Well, they have all these... Yeah, there's all these people around here going, what? And, you know, now I understand that they Americanized Sonic to a degree to where they put him on an alien planet and all that. And then in 99 with Sonic Adventure, they just said, screw it. And threw all these extra characters in. Which is fine, and I don't mind it being in a real world, but... You know, it was a really big wake-up call for me as a Sonic fan.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's basically it. Just seeing people in Sonic games freaked me out.
Why are you here?
Alright, I hope that answers all your questions. So I guess we'll move on to games we've been playing recently. I haven't been playing much, so this will be quick. I started playing Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, which is a game that my friend Ken gave me on Steam. And yeah, it's a blast. It is honestly the most fun I've had with a PC game in a long time. You just run around, you're basically a tank on foot. And you have a gun and a melee weapon, and you just go barreling through goblin enemies. And it's kind of like a mix between God of War and any other third-person shooter, I guess. Really, really fun. Highly recommended, especially with the Steam sales. I think it dropped like $7.50, and it's worth every penny. Let's see. Played a little bit more Killing Floor. I got that reinstalled and played through that.
Yep, we unlocked the summer character.
Yep, we unlocked the special summer character. That was fun. I really, really like that game still. They added a bunch of new guns and a couple of new maps and such, so Yeah, I was kind of against reinstalling it because I had accidentally uninstalled Steam without realizing that it also disables all of the games, and I assumed that it also deleted my save data. And if you've ever played Killing Floor, you know what a pain in the ass it is to try to level up your character because it takes forever. So I wasn't looking forward to having to go through that all again. Luckily, though, I guess the save data didn't get erased because when I reinstalled it, I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So either it cloud saved, which I don't think it did, or it saved the save data in a different spot. So I had a huge blast with that, with you unlocking that character, and just having fun. Other than that, the only other thing I've been playing... Yeah, that's... Oh, well, I put more time into Vanquish. Again, still really enjoying that game. I think you even saw the giant boss I had to get into.
Yep.
That was fun.
Giant, like, turtle fortress thingy.
Yeah, giant fortress with, like, 4 legs that just kind of stomped around.
We need to blow a hole in it. Okay, try blowing it away from the thruster blasters.
Yep. I finally got into the fortress, and there's this, like, spider enemy that, it's really hard to describe it because it's kind of like a spider.
It's kind of like a spider, but it has, like, these laser-guided things, like 4 of them.
Yeah.
Just going around.
Yeah. But basically, inside of it, you have to hit him in the head is his weak spot, and then he falls apart, and then he runs away, but then all of his body parts, like, magnetize back to him. And he has this one maneuver where he gets all red, and if he touches you while he's all red, you immediately die. Yeah, so what I ended up learning how to do is you jet around the room until you're just about out of energy, and then you just let it recover. And you just try to keep ahead of it most of the time. I ended up getting past it, but God, I threw the controller down after that because it took a while. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing.
A couple of games I've been playing. One, I only really need to say one word, Skyrim. Do I really need to go into that?
Nope.
No.
I think everybody gets how obsessive that game can be.
I'm sure about that. But another one that I've been kind of actually digging back into is The Binding of Isaac, which I don't remember if we've ever talked about it, but it's a roguelike game where you play as Isaac or any of the other alternate egos, characters, whatever, and you're basically fighting through dungeons of mutated freaks, and you fight them with your tears. Let that sink in for you. But there's literally hundreds of power-ups you can find. Everything is random. Everything is random in this game, so no 2 plays are ever the same, and it is insanely hard. I've played through like 60 different matches, I would guess you'd call them, and I've only technically beaten the game 4 times. So, but it's just a blast. I mean, I'm the type of person who does enjoy a very challenging game, and I'm just enjoying going through it.
Yeah, I think I got that in one of the indie bundles a while back, and I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. But
you will feel like punching your screen.
Oh man, I miss games like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so is that everything?
Should be. I haven't really dug into anything else since, Skyrim.
Yeah. You need not explain any further. Alright, well, if that's everything you've been playing, I think we'll just wrap this up here. Once again, I do want to bring up the fact that the members of the oceanofbeast.com site are trying to secure donations in order to pay off the website domain name for the next couple of years. So if you enjoy this podcast or any content from anybody on the site, think about donating, please. Any little bit helps. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, I'm your host, Marauder.
And I'm Phoenix923.
And we'll catch you guys on the next bonus stage.